You only have two controls when you take pictures, basically. One is where do you stand and when do you press the button. And so part of it is moving 6 inches this way or 6 inches that way, or waiting fractions of a second. And I knew pretty well what goes on in Wales, and I know a lot of people in Wales. And what I wanted to make sure was what I did was slightly unusual. Although I got a list of things from Multistory, I also put forward my own list, which had much more quirky things on, including things like Alison Todd that makes these ludicrous, wonderful, beautiful hats and things, and I love that. I love that sort of eccentricity of something that is so unusual, you know. I think for me, I don't want to set up anything or do anything like that. You know, I want to. I think the world is a wonderful, wonderful, exciting place to be. I don't think I have to do anything new because by definition, tomorrow is different from today. So it's by definition it's new. I just have to justify that I'm not cruel to people. I'm not, in my mind, dishonest. I'm not propagandist. I'm a recorder, and I do it as honestly as I can. You know, it's as simple as that. I just don't understand how people do that all day long. It's very sad. It's almost as though they live for the end of the day. And my experience is if you're accurate, you end up with something which actually has something to say, you know. And therefore that monotony comes through. But I don't think as a photographer we should be propagandists. I think you just have to photograph it. And if it's terrible, it'll be terrible. And if there's nice things about it, it'll be nice things. You know, it's pretty simple, I think. If you're there at the wrong time, they're just painting a big expanse of white. There's nothing there. You know, they haven't painted in the backdrop, etc. So you have to be there at the right time that they're doing the various things. But it happens very slowly, very, very slowly. So surprisingly, it was more difficult to do than I thought it was going to be. They make all the stuff there. They don't employ anybody further than 5 miles from the factory. It's all local community things. And they're just delightful people. You know, I was talking to them, and suddenly, just out of the blue, he said, "Oh yes, and we're just knitting Prince Charles's socks." Anyway, it turns out that Prince Charles designs his own socks. He has 6 socks that he designs. Very cleverly, they're based on the colours of the regiments of which he's the colonel-in-chief of. And all the money from these goes to charity, which is very admirable. I wasn't quite sure how to make the thing interesting, but I realised that everybody that worked there on these different machines all had the same lamp shining on their machine. So I very deliberately shot what is a portrait of each of them, making sure the lamp was in it. And I can see the whole thing being put as a block, which is almost like a block of the lamps, of which if you look into it, you suddenly realise that they're different knitting machines, and they are actually a portrait of each of the people that work in the thing. This was an extraordinary little incident, because a woman came in who had a hat for a wedding, and she was kind of slightly distressed because something had gone wrong with the hat. And Alison said, "Oh, no, don't worry, you know." And literally, in 3/4 of an hour, made her a new hat by going into drawers and finding material that matched and looked. And it was absolutely extraordinary. It was like watching a wonderful piece of sculpture being made. And it's the same kind of feeling, is this extraordinary ability for people to work as a team so that they don't get in each other's way. It's very, very, very skilled. And I enjoy it immensely. I love people that do things very well. I really do. I soak, I take. Yeah, you know, my idea of an exhibition that's a good exhibition is something I can steal from. I need to be able to steal. Otherwise, I've got to the age where it's boring, you know. So if I can steal, and when I see somebody like this, in a way I can steal from it. One of the wonderful things about photography is that we all think that we must be able to read it because it's a photograph. And so it's a very powerful effect when you get something that you think you know what it is, but you're not quite sure, but it's a photograph and you feel you ought to know what it is. And so I find myself looking for that sort of picture quite a lot. Most people go out and they take pictures and they take snaps, and it doesn't end up as a picture. It's just, I'm sure they enjoy doing it, and that's lovely. But sometimes it's fun to try to make something, the geometry of something whole, out of what is chaos.